Hello world, this is Liam, also known as Sovereign King, and this is the first video I'm going to do that is like an FAQ slash Q&A, I guess it's the same thing, right, about doing vocals, because I've had a lot of people ask me how I do my vocals and how I do the kind of Corey Taylor style of vocals. So I thought I'd talk about it, and I posted a video about 2 weeks ago now where I asked everybody to ask me their questions. The main question I got asked the most was obviously, how do I do the vocals that I do? Basically the Corey Taylor screaming style, the low guttural stuff, you know. Kind of just started yelling in the room, just as loud as I could. This is when I still lived at my mum's place, actually. And luckily I had a very understanding neighbour called Bev, who shout out to Bev, so much gratitude and love to her, because honestly she put up with some shit from me screaming and singing and finding my voice for a few years. Yeah, so I started doing that really loud, and I was just kind of just figuring out, like, you know, how does Corey do this? Or like, how does anyone who scream, how do they do this? Like, how do you scream? Because when you really break it down and listen to a lot of vocalists, you can tell that they're not actually screaming. They're using a technique, or they're using the mic and, you know, some effects and things like that to really enhance their voice so that they don't have to shout as loud. The mic raises the volume for you. And basically that's what I do. Now the mic is the true key, I feel, in doing that style. Because being in a room with people and if they ask me, oh, could you do the Corey Taylor thing now for me? Or can you do a scream now? You could do one, but it would sound different because you'd be trying to project your voice to them and be loud as possible. That's when you're literally screaming, like screaming for your life. Obviously, we all know one of the greatest vocals of all time was Corey's performance on Iowa, but that was very real, very, very real. And you could tell he was very angry, pissed off, and he was going for it like there was no tomorrow. Like, he just did not give a shit at that time, and you can hear it in his voice, and that's why it's so amazing and passionate. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to take that style, because I do love that style the most, like from the first two albums, and I wanted to kind of make it work for me, but without completely ruining my voice. There was a period where I really didn't give a shit. I just thought, I'm just going to scream, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then tough. But I've managed to find a way. I'm sure there's many professional ways this is being taught. Melissa Cross is one of the people that for sure that's doing that. The way that I do it, I aim to go from the gut. And I think technically it's not really coming from the gut anyway, but you kind of use your mind's eye to visualize that you're coming from down below. You know, you're kind of coming from the bottom, like that. But you have to kind of bark with your voice, like a dog when a dog barks, you know, like, woo, woo, woo. It's like that. But you have to, if my neighbours could hear me now, they'll probably think that's funnier than me screaming my head off. But basically that's what you're trying to do. So when you're trying to speak words, you're trying to bark like a dog, you know, like, I was walking down the road the other day and saw another dog in front of me. Like that. You're just barking. And you've just got to find a way to get the right balance to get there. Because in the beginning, I was just like proper screaming my head off. I was literally yelling as hard as I could. And afterwards, when I would go to talk, I would literally just kind of be like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, I can't really speak properly. Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm just going, hello, like that. And it would squeak. It would just squeak. Or I would try and sing something and I'd just kind of be like that, and my voice would literally sound like that. So now when I do the technique, I always find after I've done a take of a song, or even my own songs that I've worked on, I always make sure I can sing in falsetto afterwards. So if I yell like this, yo, I make sure I can kind of go afterwards. So if I could still do that, I know that I'm doing the right thing and that I'm on the right track with vocals at that time. If I can't do the stuff, then it's game over, and I have to wait a few days to recover and be able to sing. So that was part of the reason why I wanted to make sure I get the technique right when I do the yelling and I do the screaming, because I don't want to lose my singing voice, because I love singing. But I also love doing the grouchy yelling stuff, because it's just powerful and percussive. So yeah, to go back to it, what I would say to people is, starting out, when you want to try and scream like Corey, or try and bark like Corey, like, you know, like yell, you want to start with a song that's kind of relatively easy and low. So a lot of the guttural stuff that he does on All Hope Is Gone is a good introduction, I think, to doing his style of vocals. And Psychosocial is the best one for that, because those verses, he's kind of rapping, speaking the sentences, just yelling them, like, you know, like a crowd of people, like he's giving orders. He's the general when he's doing that, that's where you can follow along and get it. And then at the same time, you can go into a chorus where you're singing as well, so you can mix the two together and find the balance of what works for you, where you're screaming and then singing. You want to always keep your throat lubricated. I mean, that's why I'm always sipping something in my videos. I get a lot of comments joking that I'm sipping tea and things like that in between verses, you know, like screaming my head off and then just being like, "Good day, sir," and then back to it, you know. But it's not really like that. It's more of a case of, okay, I've got through that verse, I've got through that chorus, I need to have a quick drink and let my throat get wet again, so I can really give full power, and that my vocal cords or whatever's going on in there, it can do what it needs to do without getting too dry. One of the main things I do use, or I did use, I've been trying to cut back because of the caffeine, is Coca-Cola, and I have a lot of ice with it. Something about the fizz and the syrupy sweetness in it and the ice all combined together, the colder the ice, the syrup or sugar or whatever it is that's in there, and the fizz, for some reason it gives a great sensation on my throat, and it really helps. It just helps. Like, it makes my throat feel invincible when I'm doing it. But because I've cut that out recently, obviously I've tried to go to hot honey. I don't have the lemon because for some reason lemon makes my throat feel a bit funny as well, kind of squeaky, kind of dry. So I don't use the lemon. I'll just have hot honey. I'll boil the water up, put a huge teaspoon of honey in the cup and let it melt down and stir it in. It's basically what I've got in this cup right now. If you don't want to drink Coca-Cola, you can have soda water. I find helps, like have ice and soda water instead, as long as it's got no sweeteners and shit in it. You want to start off low. You want to start off screaming stuff that's kind of lower in the register. And then third, the big thing I find is one of these, the microphones, because you can amplify your voice even louder. Like even now, I've got these headphones in so I can make sure that the audio is actually going through as I talk. So my voice is quite loud in my ears and I can feel the vibration. You know, it resonates in your head and with your voice, and you can feel the vibration. So you can really tap into how to control your voice better because you can hear everything. You can also hear the volume in your voice a lot better as well. You know, like when you get closer to the mic or you've got the mic louder, you can hear what's going on in there. So if you do want to kind of bark and yell and scream, you can do it with a lot more control. You don't have to go crazy. Someone did ask me what would be the best mic. Antonio Ivanovsky. Thanks, Antonio. So, what is a good starting mic to practice with, or what is your mic that you use? So my mic that I use now, which I haven't used in any other videos yet, is a Rode. But basically, yeah, I'm using a Rode at the moment. But when I first started, I used a Shure PGA 48. And that's more than enough, because if you go back onto my channel, look at my old videos, like if you look at Wait and Bleed, the Heretic Anthem, Eyeless, I did all of those songs on the old mic. It's a good mic. It's cheap, but it's good. And then you just got to get like a mixer or something that you can plug it into. And then a DAW, so as long as you can plug it in somewhere. I used to just plug into the mic in on my PC. So it'd be the microphone, mixer, mic in on the PC, and that was it. And then I would manipulate the rest from there, like compressor and EQ and reverb on my voice and stuff. Then I went and bought an SM58, and that mic is fantastic too. So if you've seen any of my more recent videos, like Solway Firth, I used the SM58 for those songs, and I love that mic. It's great. Okay, the next question was asked by 4 different people. Someone called Liam Whitnell. What's up, Liam? There's 2 Liams here. We got a bond, mate. Flavio Piraz. That's probably his. Quoten Dutcher. And then another one was called Terramine Plays. Basically, they all asked the same thing. Have you ever experienced any vocal damage or any pain in my throat after singing or screaming? And yes, 100% yes. In terms of pain, I don't know about long-term vocal damage. The only times I ever had any real pain after singing or screaming was when I kind of overdid it and was doing too many songs in one day, and I didn't really know what my technique was, and I was just pushing my voice too far and getting really tired. But I found what it is to avoid the pain. It's just like going to the gym. If anyone who's watching this works out, you'll know what I mean. Excuse me. When you first start out at the gym, for the first few weeks, maybe even month, when you're working out, you know, all your muscles hurt all over. Each day you ache. People won't give the gym a chance because once they feel that pain, they won't push any further, and they'll leave it there and think, screw that, gym's not for me. But once you've pushed through it, obviously your body will adapt and it will heal, and it will start to learn how to cope with the stresses of working out. So it's the same with singing, and it's the same with screaming and the throat. I feel like over time you do build a resistance and you build a strength up. As long as you keep it up, you've got that strength there. Once you find the balance, that's the key. Once you find the balance, when you know what hurts and what doesn't hurt, and what keeps it going, that's the key. And then when you stick with that, over time it's only going to get stronger. So the next question's from Ilyas Saidi. Please forgive me if I've said that wrong. How do I start becoming a metal vocalist as a complete beginner? I would also like to point out that I can't afford lessons at the moment. I'm having guitar lessons, so I can't afford both, and that I am 16 years old. On another note, you're a truly amazing screamer and guitar player, and it's just awesome seeing your covers after a long day at school. Wish you all the best. Thank you, Ilyas. Really appreciate that, man. That's really cool. That's really cool. It's funny enough, I started at the same age as you as well, at 16. That's when I first bought my first guitar. So I would say just keep doing what you're doing, man. Just stick to it, please. Stick to it. Just keep learning, keep playing. In terms of becoming a metal vocalist, I wouldn't worry too much at the moment. I would say just focus on singing. Just focus on being able to sing. And it doesn't have to be aggressive songs. It doesn't have to be screaming. Just like learn how to sing. If you sing already, great. Just keep improving on that and focus on the melody and the singing aspect first. And then as you get a bit older, when you maybe get to about 20, 21, that's when I'd say, yeah, start screaming and start learning how to do it. Or maybe study it now and kind of and practice a little bit. But I'm thinking because you're 16, you're still growing, you've still got a lot more growing to do. So don't be disheartened by that. That's a really good thing. So you've got the advantage by starting really early in your life. But don't be disheartened by the idea of that you can't scream now. It's just going to benefit you in the future. Trust me. Just focus on singing and playing guitar for now. And then when the time's right, you can start screaming and start learning. And it will work a lot better for you because you'll know how to control your breathing and you'll know how to control your diaphragm and things like that when you're singing. So you can apply that to your screaming. So keep at it, Ilyas. Appreciate the comment. Much love to you, mate. Thank you all for your questions. I really appreciate all the love and the feedback you give me. It's incredible. It always makes my day. And it's just been overwhelming. It's just been incredible. So hopefully some people can get some inspiration and some answers from that and hopefully find their own path. But if you have any questions, just shoot me a comment. And I always read every single comment. So I'll get back to you at some point. If it's not right away, I will get back to you within a few weeks for sure. So, and that's it. Thank you all. Love you all. Have a great week. And I'll see you down the road.